Hi, it's Joan, so you're watching Wynonna Earp, Vengeance. I am so excited for this film. I vaguely knew it was happening, but in my head it was happening and it was some distant, far off thing. And then about a week ago, or probably a week and a half ago now, I was just living my life and then I saw an article that was like, it comes out on the 13th. And I was like, it does what now? So yeah, this came out of nowhere and really surprised me. So I am very excited to finally have time to sit down, react to it. The unedited version of this reaction will be up on my Patreon, and I reacted to, oh gosh, I think it was season 3 and 4. I watched all of Wynonna Up, obviously, but I think on my channel I reacted to the end of season 2 and then seasons 3 and 4, or the end of season 3 and then season 4. I think I did 3 and 4, but yes, there are some old Wynonna reactions on my channel if you would like to find them, if this is your first time seeing me, and you can find the unedited version of this on my Patreon, which I think I've already said. And I'm just so excited to be back with these characters for another crazy adventure. Let's go. I watched some recaps on YouTube this morning to make sure I had like everything in my head as needed, because it's been a while since this show was on.
Oh, they're really biting.
Oh god, what is it? At this point, why does anyone still live in purgatory?
Good thing I always dress for cardio.
I should say before we get much further into this, my big fear with this is that, as with any show that has come to a conclusion, especially when it was a satisfying conclusion, like season 4, I loved it, it was a lot of fun, but it wasn't the best season, but it had a brilliant ending. I loved the way it ended. Again, I don't remember whether at the time I was like, it's perfect, but like thinking back on it, I'm like, everyone was happy, everyone who survived that long was alive, there was sort of hope for the future, and you know, even though things maybe weren't 100% perfect, like I don't know what would be 100% perfect because life isn't, things were pretty much perfect. And so my fear is people are going to die and things are going to get ruined in this hour and a half, and I'm hoping it's just going to be a celebration. And given how much the fans loved Wynonna Earp, still do, and how much of the fan support is what helped make this movie be a thing, I am really hoping that it's just going to be a celebration of all that we love and not a painful slap in the face. Because sometimes shows are like, oh, did you really love this show and you fought for it to get more footage? We're gonna make you suffer because they think that's what we want, and I don't know.
Hell was cold and dark, and I've been on my own for years.
It's like Lilith. We've had Eve. Seriously!
Partner?
Okay, well, they're still hanging out at least.
What have they done to you?
What is their plan here?
Tell me, Doc Holliday, the greatest gunslinger who ever lived.
Top 20 for sure.
Would've gotten away.
Just when I needed it. Thank you, Chrissy.
Okay, I'm glad Chrissy seems happy. Not hanging anyone.
Hey, Kyle. Back at you. How's your brother?
Okay, so Purgatory's doing well. That's probably why people are living here, but
Thank you so much. I will be
hell
by
is
the
about to
shop
come
later,
back.
Okay?
I'm glad they're happy. Like, I would watch a movie that was just them all living their lives.
So funny to think about your sister acting all touristy at the place where your ancestor made his mark.
Sounds like she's in a good place.
Now, which is where I'm about to send you.
So not much has changed. Priorities, people.
I just need to clear my head.
I mean, if it's been 2 years, have they visited their daughter in that time?
It'll be hours or days this time.
Don't wait up.
So things, they love each other, but things still aren't functional, particularly healthily.
Oh, Natalie, you're hurt, but you're alive, okay? Stay still.
I mean, I think even if he'd shot at her, she wouldn't have been killed by it.
Hey, I found Natalie! Attacked by a bear!
Yeah, well, Waverly's found something far worse. Not the best day for Wynonna to get news, but
Baby girl, did you get my postcard?
oh, I've missed them.
What do you mean?
Like, I think she'd actually be happier, like, exploring and seeing the world. Again, not being, like, trapped to purgatory, but being based there with her sister. She's back.
Here I come.
I mean, your friend is dead. It'd be a little sadder.
Baby girl. Baby girl's woman.
We weren't expecting you so soon.
How bad was it?
Let's just say there's not
A
gonna
lot
be
of
an open
experience
casket.
in
So
repressing
demons.
pain.
We don't know that.
Nicole,
Nicole wants to
I
hang
need
on
the
to
Earp air
this
home.
bliss they've had of
Even if it's a
normality.
trap.
No. What are you gonna wear?
I know you
Bunch of
don't
two
want to
coffees.
break the. Oh, he got.
Extra coffee.
I mean, he's been gone a while if she's driven the whole way home. Like, I understand Nicole not wanting Wynonna to come back in this capacity and to kind of bring back all the reminders of all the fucked up stuff they lived through and like the trauma that it all entailed. But this definitely is something supernaturally demon-like, and having as many people around as possible to stop it is definitely the right thing to do.
Mercedes went down swinging. What a crazy, awesome bitch.
Mercedes thought she was such hot shit since high school.
This is her
Shit to
funeral.
no shit.
You say Wynonna's got a great system for dealing with bad dads. Claim it was demons and shoot them in the back.
Jesus Christ.
Now someone's about to get punched in the front.
So,
Going great.
Wynonna's home.
Going great. If this is the kind of wake Mercedes would want.
Sister's name out of your voice. Okay.
I mean, you are grown adults. This is a bit immature.
don't worry, everybody.
Oh no.
or blow them off your wrists.
Yeah, like, I don't think guns are gonna do anything at this point, people. Exactly why there was nothing Nedley could have done, and I'm very stressed.
Your ring and revenge.
Jeremy has been calling. He wants me to join him overseas. Restructure the Black Badge division.
That's your future right there, baby girl.
Nicole can't leave.
I can't leave Nicole.
Ginger Dread can take care of herself.
I mean, she also had to take care of herself for a year and a half while they were in, like, when they were gone in that period of time. Like, obviously, it's no one's fault. And definitely there is a conversation to be had, though. If Waverly really is feeling bored and like she's running in place, then there is definitely a conversation to be had about whether there is more she can do, whether she does want to go and take this job. But at the same time, there isn't anything necessarily wrong with choosing to stay and being with the person you love. But then, like, yeah, you can do long distance. So it depends if it's like a moving away forever. Because Nicole, like, couldn't come. She couldn't ever choose to leave. It's not a normal situation.
This is a load, all right. Look, Penny.
Did one of
Jasmine,
these
Sheree,
girls... Is
you all
Penny?
wanted
Because they
to
didn't know where
prove it.
Penny was. Is Penny the demon?
But this land,
Something
my
happened to
family, the
Penny
curse, that's
because of
all
this?
Real. You're not gonna use my town as bait. Or my wife.
Why? Because you're the only one who gets to keep Waverly on the hook?
What's that supposed to mean?
Despite the circumstances.
That was
I'm
uncalled
simply
for.
delighted to see you.
Well, anxiety aside, it must be tiring.
That's why you should
will
talk
never
to
tire.
Wynonna.
Loving the wildest stallion of them all.
You still have to play Doc Holliday instead of just being Henry.
You could try not being a dick. But I wouldn't bet on it.
I thought I saw something moving in the
Can't
corner.
protect this place or
Who the hell is
Waverly.
this?
Wynonna, I would literally kill for you, but the chaos that you bring.
Waverly could use a little chaos.
Wynonna didn't bring this. I mean, maybe she did when she was 15, but like, she was a child. Like, this is happening, and it was happening way from when Wynonna wasn't
Chance
here.
to spread her wings.
Especially when she is stressed out. I mean, and nothing stresses her out more than her
Wasted potential?
Yeah, that was brutal to both of them.
Black Badge.
It's a cross-border task force that investigates the paranormal.
Is it? Shocking.
Not a shooting contest. Come on,
just
calm your
fixed the
casino
beams.
tits.
This is serious. You're acting like children.
They do that.
I'm tired. Like you're running out of allies.
This guy is annoying, but Jeremy sent him apparently, so...
9 at a time. And
He
apparently,
missed. Oof, is that significant of a lot of things? Like he's slipping, he's losing who he used to be, which is fine. Like Waverly said, growth is healthy, change is healthy, but communicating it with the one you love is also healthy.
Look, Wynonna, you pulled some pretty
This is
stupid stuff
her.
out there.
I managed
managed to get
Right?
Officer Nedley's cruiser on.
Maybe you feel like you don't have a home that you can go back to.
You don't know me.
This
I
is
know.
before
you
the
should be
thing, because she's got the
concentrating on
bracelet.
one thing. Getting out of this crap so that you can stop being selfish and you can help her.
Leave my sister out of this.
This is all fascinating, because that's the demon lady, right? If not, she looks freaking like her. But the advice of be less yourself isn't great. You can maybe say, like, around certain people, maybe you need to hide it a little bit, maybe you need to mask, but it's not a healthy thing to tell someone to do.
You were right. You can't save her.
Doc,
I could have helped. We are helping.
This is the bit you use, like,
In the way that you do best.
you're the knowledge one, the
What if I'm
researcher.
itching to try something? K-word? Kitesurfing? Oh. Kids.
Is that her? Oh, hey, girl.
I would not go out and face her right now.
Day in and day out, reduced to somebody's wife.
You don't know shit.
Waverly, she's baiting
Get in
you.
your head.
You got a lot
Uh-huh.
of darkness inside of you. For a B cup.
Yes, see,
Power before. Do you want another taste?
get the fuck out of here! Not before I get what I came for!
Waverly, why did you let her bait you? You're normally smarter than that.
We can't defeat her. We must comply.
Come on, baby, I know you didn't just fucking say that.
Do you not see her
Do
eye?
not undo what
You better be looking for a Xanax.
Have you not seen her eyes, Nicole? She's not Waverly right now.
she shall receive.
Baby, if you love me, you will.
Stop! Hey! Wait, really? Wait.
She got the bracelet anyway. You could have just let Waverly give it to her. It's going great.
You.
She could have killed Waverly if she wanted to.
What do you want to make you suffer?
What did Wynonna do? Because first of all, she
hurt
was
my
a
sister.
literal child.
Your daughter is the heir apparent.
What did Wynonna do to you? Was she always a demon when she was working at the home?
This is a chance for our team to impress the top brass.
Okay, there's so much more at stake here.
Brass up top. Nothing but thoughts.
What
But you wish you
happened to her? Did something get summoned and it targeted
A
Mino?
ghastly few.
She's only 5. She never asked to be born in Earp.
Neither did you. Or Waverly. Waverly,
Neither
that's...
did you. When a Chinook blows in, so do the clouds right at your feet.
Want to build a house?
You can build a little house. Doc Holliday died a long time ago.
Who's Henry?
But I think that Alice's father could not want for a thing more.
Okay, now
Pretty place to lay his head.
I'm actually freaking terrified. Because why have they patched things up before we've dealt with the big bad? Like, you don't... Like, a big no-no in a film, or in any scenario, book, film, TV show, is patching things up before the big battle. Like, I was just like, oh, there's so people... I'm actually now like, what? No! I'm terrified! Something's gonna go horribly wrong. But then bringing Alice back here, I mean, yes, it's still purgatory and kind of dangerous, but purgatory's been a much better place. Like, this would be so lovely. And, like, when Waverly's here, if she doesn't go off and do her shenanigans elsewhere that she wants to do, like, Nicole would be there, like, it would be so lovely.
I held you back.
Thank God for that.
No,
You loved her and she loved you.
We could marriage long distance for a little while. Really?
I mean, yeah, that's the healthy thing to do. Everyone patching things up before the fight is freaking stressing me out. Like, I almost would have preferred this show, this film, to not have the demon and to just literally be these characters dealing with their problems and just living their lives. Obviously, it wouldn't be Wynonna Earp, but I was going to say the same thing I said earlier, like, priorities, people, like, is this the time or the place? But the stuff isn't going to happen right now, so that they actually do have time for this, and They like to do this where people can walk in on them. How is Rachel? Has anyone mentioned Rachel?
You're a hypocrite, Holiday.
Well, I'm not entirely sure we needed Lafferty as a character. Maybe if we're gonna do multiple more movies, like we can have like continual characters, but focusing on the originals.
Anyone else would have blown their brains out years ago.
Thanks.
It's for me, I guess. What gives you the right to judge me?
Oh, get real. These two sucked. Your sister was a manipulative sociopath. Your father was an abusive drunk.
Okay, I do want to say to Willa, that wasn't her fault. Like, Willa was abducted as a child and then groomed by Bobo. Like, let's not put that on Willa. Like, Willa was a victim. You then became a perpetrator, and like, yes, obviously, by the end, that I don't know, other, like, if she hadn't been grabbed by a goop monster snake thing, maybe we could have like locked her up and slowly like she probably like it would not have been like a happy ending for Willa no matter what. But Willa was a child who was victimized. Like it would be like the no. Her dad yes, but Willa no.
Jesus. Get your wedding ring back.
Everyone needs to stop patching up before the fight, please.
You're messing with my blood. Maybe we should blow the craft room out into a super spa.
Ooh, hers and her sinks, maybe a sauna.
Like, if you were able to get up here, surely some of the creatures ran up behind you.
I have an inkling.
Just random dance breaks. I'm still so stressed. Everyone patched up their problems before the fight. They don't have Doc's scent. Surely they won't target him. Why are they targeting him and Wynonna? They should be focusing on Waverly and the gold. Natalie!
Last thing Mina told me was that she'd see me in hell, so... That's the part where you tell me I'm crazy.
We're desperate for crazy. I hate this so bad.
It takes bad to end worse. This is usually my favorite part. The wet entry.
Keeping it pervy till the end.
Gotcha, Earp.
So she was not a nice person, she was evil the whole time. I mean, she wasn't a demon, but...
Even if it is dark, is...
How, like, Wynonna, I guess, is that a portal to hell in the lake? Because Wynonna's not going to
That's your
hell.
tell, Mina. I'll never stop coming.
I hope there are infinite bullets in hell.
You can't win, all right? You're not.
I know curses, and now I'm yours. You came from my family, now you will never make your peace!
I'm faster. I'm stronger.
I'm meaner.
Is that...
The El Curd Magnifico box of containment.
I'll trade you that jail cell for the thing that makes you the heir. The only thing that's ever made you anything.
That was
Shit.
before.
Can I give up
And then my
Peacemaker?
people showed up.
And then my people showed up. I love that line. And then my
Ahead of
people
time.
showed up.
Hey, Mina?
I am mild. I mean, I'm mildly concerned that Wynonna is in hell right now, and B, not having Peacemaker in the future, should anything else turn up,
Where is Wynonna?
will be bad. But hopefully the curse is gone.
Not to tell.
Like, Wynonna wouldn't go to hell. That's something that's mildly confusing me here. Is it just because she drowned in the lake that was the portal? Because when Wynonna reaches the age of 700 and dies of old age, okay, this is good. That lake is just a portal to hell, I decided. Your people showed up.
Clearly just in time.
What the fuck, Brookie Blue?
Give me the box.
Do not give it to him.
Jesus!
Next one's a little higher. I failed the psych evaluation too many times.
I wonder why.
Fucking
I had a better
hell.
offer.
Somebody will stop this.
Not you.
What's the plan here, Doc? I'm still very stressed, so I just want to take a minute, take a second to breathe. He's Doc holidaying. Well, this is close to the border. What happens if we cross the border? I mean, I feel like realistically they would just open fire on him or hit him with their cars. I don't think they'd stop. I'm very glad they did stop.
You wanted this.
Right, he didn't get a shot off at you, right, Doc? Is he shot in the leg or something? Is he okay? Please say he's okay. Ugh! He's not shot anywhere. His shirt is white.
Did you get them all?
Tell her.
You're going to tell her.
You're gonna be okay.
I refuse to have this be happening right now. They deserve to be happy.
Please let me save you, Doc.
Oh, God.
You already saved me. I'm very close to crying, but I'm also fucking angry right now. So, like, my advice right now to people is don't watch this movie. Because the ending we had before was better and happier than this. And given like how loyal the Wynonna Earp fandom is, how much like they push for there to be more Wynonna Earp, to repay us by killing one of the main characters off. I hate this.
Thanks again for flying in, Jeremy. Like finding a way to fix this.
Yeah. Yeah, Black Badge has a lot of unconventional resources at our disposal. I'll try, Wynonna.
You'll do better than that.
Like to bring him back to life.
I promise.
If we're gonna try and bring him back to
It'll
life,
help that I hired the most ingenious researcher I've ever met.
then this is less of a terrible ending because it's a to be continued.
Don't open any.
We could even bring dolls back, like.
But
I'll be home for Easter.
I know.
If it's February, Easter's not that far away. But like even this ending isn't as good as the one we had before. Like obviously Waverly can go away for short periods of time, for long periods of time even, and still be long-term happy in their relationship.
Learning from us to the adventure.
I know there's a sheriff now, well a deputy, but...
I have a passport. Amazing.
I mean I like this ending for Waverly, her getting to see the world and travel and be her fullest Waverly. And also if it's February, it was like 28th of February, no, but it was like mid-February, right, this moon thing, and Easter's in like March or April normally, so she'll be back soon. And she can be there and back and there and back, you know.
I can't believe I'm a cop. Are we sure I left hell?
It gets worse.
I mean legally, I don't know if she could be a cop.
Hey, I'm Deputy Earp, reporting for Duke.
Okay. Is Alice coming home? Okay, so first things first, will there be another Wynonna movie? So no, my problem with this, like this was an article about whether like a movie would ruin the show's ending, and if they had literally just left all of the main characters alive, they wouldn't have ruined the ending. Like unless they broke up, like had Waverly and Nicole randomly be like, we're getting divorced, then you'd be like, what the fuck? But obviously they wouldn't do that. For one last ride. I don't like, I mean, I know obviously there are people who like endings where they kill people off, but to me, the world is dark and brutal and it sucks. And you invest your time, your love into these shows, hours and hours of love into them. And then they repay you by slapping you in the face with a death. In what universe is that good? Like, the only thing that is giving me vague hope is that conversation between Wynonna and Jeremy where she was like, focus on fixing this, and like pointed at the grave. So are we supposed to believe that Jeremy's gonna figure out a way to reverse death? Which, if we can just reverse death, then we can bring everybody, like, also doesn't 100% make sense in the context, because then surely anybody who died any time could simply be brought back to life, because Doc, like, wasn't killed in a supernatural way or anything. He was just shot by a human. And that, I hate the trope where a character gets shot, acts like they didn't get shot, walks really far, and then it's like, oh no, just under my jacket. It's so annoying, because I was concerned in that moment when he was facing off against them, when there were like 5 of them and they all had guns. I was like, realistically, Doc is not going to be able to stand still and shoot them all dead, and not get hit. So when it appeared that that's what had happened, I was fucking relieved and willing to believe he was just that quick. But they decided they'd kill him off. And like, I've had my issues with Doc Holliday as a character on and off again. Like, he's part of the Wynonna Earp show, so I do love him. He was never my favourite. I'm not like, oh my god, you killed my favourite, how could you? But he had been through so much, had grown through so much. And like, yes, like some of those articles I just looked at said, he lived for 175 years, but he has a little girl, a 5-year-old daughter who he loves and who deserved to be able to grow up with her father who loved her and to experience having him in her life instead of just hearing stories about her dad that got shot and died and is buried outside. If she even comes home, because the movie didn't even touch on that at the end, if Wynonna was going to build a house where Doc wanted her to and live there with Alice, or if she's going to leave Alice in Montana with Gus. Like, there was not even a discussion of that. So for me, the original ending was far better than this one. And now that, I know there's a little degree of personal preferences in that I do not like when shows show how little they care about their fan base by killing off a character. TV is escapism at the end of the day, and this isn't Game of Thrones, this isn't The Walking Dead, this isn't the kind of show that's like, this is the gritty and realistic show and someone dies every 5 seconds, because in the real world, they'd be dying every 5 seconds. That's not what Wynonna Earp is. Like, the only time they killed off a main person before was because he wanted to leave the show, and there was feasibly no way that Doles would walk away from what was happening. And like, it would, I wish they had written something. I wish they'd been like, actually, there's this really urgent situation there, and he's the only person who can deal with it, and we could all be like, okay, sure. That would have made me far happier. But when you're in the middle of a show and an actor doesn't want to be in it, has another commitment, wants to do something else, and there is no plausible way you can write that character out, I can understand killing him off. But at this point, they literally just killed Doc for no reason whatsoever. Like, so Wynonna could be sad for 5 minutes, but then she was already over it at the end, off to Bowie Sheriff. Like, it didn't have any long-term consequences. Waverly was like, I'm off, la 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 la, without even considering for a second that her sister just lost the love of her life. And again, I'm not saying Waverly should put her life on hold. Again, of course not. But at the same time, like, that whole final scene where they were leaving, you'd assume Doc was out back, or Doc was on a plane to Montana to bring Alice home. And like, to me, the killing Doc felt pointless. Just a little bit of shock, you thought he was okay and no he's not. I hate when shows kill people off. And like I said, I had my issues with Doc at various points, but on the whole, his story, his growth was so important, and something that had always touched me the most about him was how much he loved that baby. Because he could so easily be someone who is so detached from normality in terms of like normal human life, or was such a like wild gunslinging cowboy that maybe like he would be a bit like not sure what to do with having a baby and the feelings. And obviously I don't think if he was given a literal when she was a newborn, he would have struggled, but like, he loved her from the moment she was possibly his and possibly existed, and he deserved that chance, and so did the baby. I knew when every single character had made up, like, and made future plans before we got to the fight, I knew something bad was going to happen, because literally everyone made up. Wynonna and Doc solved their whole problem, decided how they were going to live the rest of their future with their daughter. Waverly and Nicole made, like, I mean, not that they had ever been fighting, but they had the talks that they've been putting off, and Nicole agreed that it would be great for Waverly to go. Waverly agreed that she would go, but also that it wouldn't be forever because she wouldn't want to live, like, it wouldn't be long term because she doesn't want to leave Nicole for long term, and I think that makes total perfect sense for the characters, and I'm really happy about it. I was mildly concerned they were going to be like, Waverly's going to go away for 6 years, and I'd be like, I mean, weird when you're in love with someone, but okay. But yeah, like, even if she goes away frequently, it still makes perfect sense because, like, yeah, I'm okay with how the Wayhort stuff ended. Not my perfect version of the ending, because I would almost rather had the ending be Waverly coming back from her trip. like from this expedition, and even talking about the next one she's going on, I don't care. And it could have had little Alice running around, and like that work on the house being there, and Gus being there, and you know, like us seeing that there is a, like, obviously we saw that there was a future, but seeing something like that, so they were just all at least literally together at the end. But like the way her ending does make me unhappy. It wasn't quite like they weren't literally together at the end, but also like Waverly was living her dream and Nicole was supporting her, so I'm not like unhappy with it. But anyway, they'd patched things up, then Nicole and Wynonna patched things up, and I was like, you know, at that point, I will say it was Doc I was concerned for, because Wynonna is Wynonna Earp. She is the main character. Now, if this was going to be the last episode thing ever, they could have killed her, and that would have deeply concerned me. I don't think they would kill Nicole or Waverly simply because of the bury your gays trope and how hard this show has fought against it. And I seem to remember way back in season 1, when I thought, didn't like Willa shoot Nicole or something? And the showrunner was like, I'm really sorry if I scared you. Like, I promise we're not doing the bury your gays trope here. So I kind of like the fact that they have a degree of protection around them, because I love them and I don't want anything to happen to them. I just wish everybody else got protection too. So therefore it kind of left Doc as the most obvious person, other than Nedley, to die. So even then, like, for shock value, it wasn't that shocking, because if you'd stopped me and said, who do you think's gonna die? I didn't speak it because I didn't want to put that energy into the world. I didn't want to be like, I think they're gonna, like, if they kill anyone, it'll be him. I didn't really want that. And like Mercedes died, and like, you know what, people were sad for like literally 0.5 seconds. And obviously at her funeral, the kind of woman she was, yeah, she probably would have loved the fact that Wynonna got into a brawl with some people who were being bitchy about her at her funeral. But I just, in some ways, I felt like in this special, the emotions were detached and they were focusing too much on the funny of Wynonna Earp. Now, Wynonna Earp is a hilarious show. It's ridiculous, it's ludicrous, and it had all of that, I agree. And it had its emotional moments, but I feel like I would have liked slightly more time spent on the emotional beats and a fewer gags, because, like, we know Wynonna Earp is ridiculously funny and has these ridiculous jokes that shouldn't work but just do, for me to love it 100%. So right now, like, I'm not going to be recommending that people who love Wynonna Earp watch this special, because they just randomly kill Doc off at the end, and I don't see, it didn't add anything at all. It was just an attempt at being, like, nowadays people and showrunners are like, we have to kill people because it's got to be realistic, even though there are literal demons flying around, you know, coming up out of icy lakes, hellhound people doing little dances as they try and kill people. Like, there's nothing realistic in this show, but killing people is realistic, or shock value to try and be like, oh, we were a deep and meaningful thing because we killed someone. And it's absolutely nonsensical and meaningless and pointless, and loses the point of TV show and the point of why we watch these shows. You know, there are some shows, like, part of why I gave up on watching The Walking Dead was because it was just so fucking bleak, and like everyone was dying, and I kind of sat there with myself and I was like, yes, I enjoy the plot lines, yes, I enjoy the show, but do I want to keep subjecting myself to this? And I was like, no, I actually don't want to. So that's why I stopped watching The Walking Dead, and I no longer watch any, like, I know there are like 1,000 spin-offs and they do look interesting, but I'm just like, I can't engage with that because I don't need that in my life. And then, you know, Game of Thrones, where about it kill people, but that, most of those deaths felt necessary in the universe. They felt like, I mean, obviously some of them were shock value, especially when it got to like whatever the showrunners felt like doing, but in general in Game of Thrones, like the shocking deaths, some of them were there for shock value, but it all kind of felt part of a wider universe. It moved the plot forward. It made sense for a character to kill that character for whatever reason. Whereas Doc dying in a random standoff with some wannabe evil agent man, there was no payoff there. He died in about 5 seconds. Like, it was, if I hadn't been so fucking angry, I would have cried my eyes out at that scene, don't get me wrong. I could feel the tears coming, but the rage at the fact that that this beloved show of ours that has been, like, every single time I look on Twitter, I swear it says trending hashtags, welcome home Wynonna. I'm like, Wynonna Earp is back, Wynonna Earp. And this has been for years. So, like, this is a passionate fan base. I love it. I love this show. And I really feel like killing one of the main characters is an absolute slap in the face. I was so excited when I heard this movie was coming. And my one fear was that they would ruin it somehow. And I think they kind of did. Like, I can, like, out of all the people, of the main four, Doc dying is the one that I can deal with the best, because he lived for 175 years, etc. And like, he's not Wynonna, Waverly, or Nicole, who are my three favorites. But it just takes away the character growth, the relationship growth. Wynonna is still a work in progress as a character, and like, that's because she's a human. We're all working, like, I'm a work in progress as a person. But you know, like, she's still got so much to work through, even in terms of being in a relationship with someone and how to deal with that. And she deserved to have him there and to do that. Instead, like, they had one kind of conversation where they decided where they build their house, and then he dies. And Wynonna loses yet another thing in her life, which she doesn't deserve to do. So I'm actually really angry. Now, the positives. When the demony thing came out of the lake and I was initially kind of like, obviously Purgatory is in the Ghost River Triangle and it has, you know, but dark forces are drawn there and things like that. But I was sort of thinking, well, you know, that the Earp curse is done. We've dealt with, you know, revenants and clantons and angels and all the stuff that is like directly linked to these characters. So how are they going to explain that this is happening? And then when it became apparent that this woman had a problem with Wynonna, I was like, okay, please don't be, I mean, I would have been okay with it, but I was also thinking, oh, please don't be another person who's like, Wyatt Earp did something bad to me and now I want his daughter, or his, you know, not his literal daughter, but his descendant. But I actually really liked who the bad guy was. I liked that she was a reference to Wynonna's past, because I think that is something that in the original series was never really delved into very much. We saw what happened the night Willow was taken. We knew Waverly was taken in by Gus and their uncle and like had a really nice normal life, and Wynonna did not. Because she'd killed her father, I suppose. I'm not entirely sure why Gus wouldn't take her in. I guess they thought she needed more help, or Gus could only financially support one kid. I don't 100% know all the details. And then obviously, oh no, I mean, I guess it's because she killed her father and said it was demons made me do it. So they probably were like, it's not safe to have you in a normal home, or whatever. So I like the concept of who this bad guy was. That it was someone from Wynonna's past, from her traumatic childhood, someone from before she was the Wynonna we know and love, when she was still becoming that woman. It's a really fascinating story, but I also feel a little bit like, I don't know, did 2B say it can only be an hour and a half long? Because what I think this film needed to be was 2-3 hours to really flesh out some of these things. Because yes, we got our answer about who this woman was, but I'm still not entirely sure who she was. Like, why did she hate Wynonna? Did she just hate every single girl that came into that house because she herself never made anything of her life, that she didn't manage to get out of purgatory or get out of this place, that she was stuck here, so she wanted to make sure all the girls that came through were also stuck here? That kind of bitter adult that feels like her life isn't what she wants it to be, so she wants to take it out on everybody else. Is that the scenario with why she was initially doing what she was doing? And then, like, the relish with which she picked up the bracelet and went, I got you now, Earp. At this point, Wynonna was literally a 15-year-old girl in your care. What on earth were you feeling that much rage towards her for? I mean, obviously she was just a horrible person. And then getting like the seance and everything, and like the idea of teenage Wynonna being picked on and bullied and desperate, knowing so deeply and fiercely that the demons are real and that it was true, and needing to try and prove that. Like, it's such an interesting, rich thing that I think that could have been explored more as well. But I really like the concept of who this villain was and who she was to Wynonna. I like the kind of scale of it, and I think some things could have been explained a bit better, like Mina and her. Ultimately, she could have had a little bit more explanation. And I have to assume that the reason Wynonna went to hell was because that lake was where Mina had travelled to and from. It was like her portal was in the lake. So that's how Wynonna died or was able to go to hell. It wasn't because when Wynonna dies, she's going to hell, even though the voices are like, oh, let's go to hell. Wynonna is such a good fucking person. She's going to heaven. If there is an afterlife, like, she's not suffering for eternity, she's going to heaven. So I think that, like, I know I've been really negative about this, but I think I have to assume with the budget Tubi gave them or something that it could only be an hour and a half when really this needed to be longer, more fleshed out. I feel like this review's been really negative, and I hate that because this is Wynonna Earp, but I'm just, why the fuck did they kill Doc? Because it didn't resonate in the story. Like, Doc's death barely hit harder than Mercedes' death, which was a blip that, like, no one was sad about for at all. And then plot-wise, it was a really promising plot that wasn't quite executed properly. The Rafferty guy, like, he literally only existed so that they could kill Doc, because he didn't add anything to it other than killing Doc. They decided, we're gonna kill Doc Holliday in this thing. How can we do it? So we've got our main bad guy, but we're gonna invent this random other person. Now, obviously, they're having the whole there's something corrupt in Black Badge. It feels to me that they are hoping to make more movies, as much as the articles were like, Wynonna Earp is back for one final display. But then at the same time, like, Wynonna doesn't have Peacemaker anymore, and such a pivotal part of Wynonna Earp is that she has Peacemaker, and like, if there's a demon, she can kill it. And I guess we could have a future, like, the show isn't called Wynonna Earp and Peacemaker, it is just called Wynonna Earp, so we could have her dealing with problems and situations and not having the easy go-to resource of Peacemaker. That would be interesting in the future, but I just, at this point, I don't know. I think, like, it had a brilliant concept of the bad guy, executed mostly very well, but could have done with a bit more time and explanation. I think, looking at Waverly's character and who she is, her wanting more than their life does make sense. But I think, I don't think Waverly necessarily would ever have made herself smaller with 1001 craft projects or whatever. I think she would have pursued what she wanted to do, though I suppose she probably feels partly responsible for Nicole being trapped, and so didn't want to leave her behind. Communication, just these characters need to communicate more. Like, when they finally communicated, every single problem was solved so quickly. So I love seeing these characters come back together. I loved how much they love each other, because they always have done, and that's part of why I'm so pissed off that they just killed a member of the family and then moved on from it 2.5 seconds later, if that. That's it. No, 0.5 seconds later. Within 2.5 seconds, who was Doc Holliday? I don't remember. So, and then they had the weird Wynonna being like, oh, fix this. And it's like, but if we can just suddenly bring everybody back from the dead, then we'll just pop to the cemetery and revive everybody. So, I mean, it's confusing in places. Like I said, I think it lost its way a little bit with Wynonna's, like, irreverent humor and everything, and, like, there were beats where maybe we could have dealt with the emotion a little bit longer, dealt with the relationships a little bit more seriously, and then it became a joke again, which is very true to these characters and how they deal with things, so I don't hate it. I just think I would thought it would have worked slightly better if we'd spent a minute longer in some of those beats. On the whole, I did enjoy myself. Like, it was only when Doc died that I got angry and stopped enjoying myself, so, like, it was in no way bad. I was kind of thinking, like, I'd probably give it 3 to 4 stars, like, as a film, whereas, like, Wynonna Earp at its best is a 5-star easy. But I very much enjoyed it, and I was very glad to see these characters again and to get another, and sort of thinking, like, okay, yeah, maybe they patched everything up together before the fight, but the idea of Wynonna and Doc raising their baby girl in a house that is their own, so it doesn't have the memories that Wynonna has in the homestead, and getting to have her there with Nicole, with Waverly. Another thing, Nicole randomly mentioned kids, so Nicole wants kids, and whether Waverly does or not, that's her choice, and I know we're trying to say that Waverly should have kids, but did they ever discuss that again? Like, Nicole randomly brought up kids, and Waverly was like, oh, I actually want to leave and go work in Egypt, which, again, they're very young, still valid, they can do all that. Like, no one, if Waverly doesn't want kids, that's also completely fine, but, like, maybe they should have discussed kids by now, before they got married, as well. Like, I felt like that kid was mentioned, and then quickly forgotten. Rachel didn't get mentioned once. Even though, like, I'm assuming, I mean, I'd like to think Rachel is just, like, living a life somewhere, but did they even mention her? I don't think they did. So, like, this was a bit of a miss as a film, but, like, up until Doc dying, it was an enjoyable film that I still would have been like, it's not Wynonna Earp at its best, but it's still the Wynonna Earp we love. And then they were like, lol, let's kill Doc off for some fun, I guess. And I didn't like it. Yeah. I think I'm going to edit the end first so I can just get that out of the way and then edit the rest of it, because Jesus Christ. So, again, with Doc's death, I put this as 2 stars. I don't normally give things stars, but, like, during the, like, middle of it, it was kind of occurring to me that this wasn't Wynonna Earp at its best, but it was still thoroughly enjoyable Wynonna Earp, and depending on how it ended, whether it went to 4 or to 3, and then they killed Doc, so it's lucky to get 2. And even if, like, because Doc deserved to raise his daughter. Alice deserved both of her parents. Like, yes, Alice, I assume Gus will also move back, uproot her life all over again, and move back as well. So Alice will still have her Aunt Gus, and she'll have her Aunts Waverly and Nicole, and Jeremy when he visits. Like, she'll have adults and, like, so much love in her life. But she had a father who loved her and wanted her, and she deserved that. So from that side of things, Doc deserved his daughter, especially with all the growth he's had. And Wynonna deserved to not have yet another thing taken away from her, yet another struggle put on her, yet another trauma put on her. She deserved to get to be happy for once without there being a secret, haha, now she's suffering. So yes. Wynonna being a sheriff with Nicole helping to protect Purgatory, I do really like, and I think that would be an interesting thing in a future movie, because the people of Purgatory hate her. Despite all that she's done to help them and save them, they blame her for stuff, they hate her because of she was a bad, troubled child, and like all that kind of things. And now she's a deputy. Like, it's going to be very interesting to see, like, that would be an interesting dynamic to explore as well. But given that they killed Doc, I don't necessarily know that I'd want to watch another film, because they might be like, oh, God, I killed someone, and we're running out of characters that we care about that aren't the main three, which then puts them in danger, to be honest. So yeah, I'm really sorry this review was so negative. I don't like being negative in reviews, and I do want to stress that I was having a good time until Doc died. If anything, I would have preferred Doc to be shot, but not fatally, but like in a way that could be dangerous, but then they're able to rush him to a hospital, and then we could have the whole discussion of Doc's near-death experience and all the lengths he once went to avoid mortality because he was so afraid of dying, and he could be like, I've stared it in the face, and now, like, I know I'm ready, like, I would have been ready to go because I knew I died protecting you and protecting our baby girl, and like, that could have been like a really cool moment of like a character growth for him. But then he doesn't die, so we get the payoff of, yes, he's alive, instead of the, oh, okay. Anyway, I still adore Wynonna Earp. I still adore the show. I will still recommend people watch the show. I will just probably tell them, if you want a nice ending, avoid the movie. Thank you. If you've watched this far, thank you. If you've watched this entire long rambly review, thank you. You can find the unedited version of this reaction on my Patreon, and thank you so much for watching.